We have had this Robo Ky chud for quite the wee while, and my sleep has not been good to me. A ton of people have tried them, a ton of people have played them, and a ton of people have actually picked them up and find them quite enjoyable to play. But there is one question that I want to address. Is Robo Ky any good? He's a set play character that wants to build up electricity to do a ton of his offense, either hit confirming into a pretty good combo or being able to run some nasty high-low offense. And through building that electricity makes neutral and offense deadly to deal with once he has it at a high state, making projectiles godlike and making pressure tools brutal to deal with. He also does come with some weaknesses that can hold him back. We'll get everything to do with Robo Ky in terms of the nitty and gritty, but let's get into the things that he does really well. A great starting place is his normals and speed. He has quite a good movement speed on his run, making him insanely fast and neutral. In terms of pokes, you have many a good ones. His normals are pretty good across the board. // having good reach coming out in 10 frames is pretty solid across the board. 2S being a multi-hitting low with decent reach is great. 5H having fantastic reach is great. JH is a kind of solid button for jumping in. And 2D is a sweep that avoids attacks that he approaches with. So his normals are really good. They aren't dominating normals, but for what they cover, they're pretty fantastic. All of his normals have some type of way hit confirm into a pickup or some type of soft knockdown. If he catches a backdash with // you can confirm that into a segue to get a bit of electricity back. And on counter hit, a lot of these tools can deal a decent chunk of change, so he can hit you pretty hard for a lot of damage. But most of the time his damage is fine. He isn't doing anything insane, but if he gets the right hit, he can really blow you up. Neutral can be deadly, as again he has good neutral pokes, and then you mix that with his projectile. At higher levels, this is a fantastic tool to represent, allowing you to hold down the screen space at specific angles that make it difficult to approach on Robo Ky. For some characters, this will be absolutely matchup defining, trying to get past all this, but for others, this will not be as much of a big deal. But being able to hold ground and send out a decent confirmed projectile that's both plus on block and deals a good bit of damage into a combo if he's close enough is fantastic. So his projectiles are really good. The way he mixes people up is quite mental for a game like GuiltyGearStrive. He has a guard crush that allows him to set up for strike throw, and the interesting thing is, it isn't just strike throw. A strike command grab throw. The only option on this once you get guard crush is to either jump or backdash. You can't do a fuzzy tech, you can't do a fuzzy mash. And mix that with the little horsey, his mix up gets beyond disgusting as he's able to high-low, jump in, double jump in, jump cancel, short hop. He's able to go hog wild. A multi-hit and jump in mixed him with this tool and a double hit and low makes him an absolute stagger beast in high lows. And then he can empty some of this for a command grab as well. So the mix-up potential that Robo Ky has is probably up here. I'm being honest, if someone masters Robo Ky in this patch, like it's insanely good, he probably has the scariest mix-ups in the game. Because you got a guard crush for stagger pressure along with a good close slash and multiple safe normals like 5k and 2k. And then you mix that with having a command grab, short hop, high-low, like it's insane. The amount of ways that you've got to open someone up is beyond infinite with Robo Ky. I'd love to see someone master his character within like the next few months if I'm honest, because I feel like he'll be the catalyst for opening people up. Lastly, his gimmick, Electricity. He isn't one of the roster members that kinda needs to manage his resources. He isn't like a Happy Chaos on launch, for example, or a current day Asuka who just puts himself on zero. Robo Ky genuinely needs to manage this, but luckily he's got enough tools that let him manage it to a very high degree. His command grab gives him electricity. His mat gives him electricity. His segue combos give him electricity, so he has ways to get back a lot of electricity just from playing the game. So if his offense in the bag and his neutral looking pretty good, and then ways to build up his gimmick, he also has a pretty fantastic way of cashing out with his gimmick. If the opponent is low enough and he's built up a good chunk of electricity, he can dump that into his mudas. Able to delete health bars at pretty high points, it can be quite shocking how much this can do with max electricity. That's the positives, but you need to look at the negatives to get a whole picture with the character. Instead of going in order what I think is important, like normals, specials and all that, I'm going to get started with the biggest issue he has. defense. Robo Ky probably has the worst defense in this game. He doesn't have a 5 frame 5k, he has a 6 frame 2k for mashing, and his punches come out in 5 frames. He has no form of defensive super. If he is in a blocking situation, he can't use invincible supers to escape them. And unlike his previous counterpart, he has no DP, so he can't get out of a pinch if he has high electricity. The problem with his defense is that it's pretty rough, and I know what a lot of people are thinking. Zal probably has worse defense, or Happy Chaos has worse defense. Happy Chaos has one of the 2Ps of all time, right? He can mash out of a lot of bad situations and get confirm if he's on the ball. Zato has a pose. If he's in a spacing trap scenario, he can escape with an oppose, whereas Robo Ky doesn't have any of these things. He doesn't have a mashable button to go wild with, and he doesn't have some form of gimmick defense like Hammerfall. He genuinely needs to block you out a lot of the time. And because his health isn't anything special, it means he's susceptible to snowball situations. He can get blown up off of one wrong play. That's how bad his defense is. It's kind of like a Jack scenario all over again, where Jack got insanely good at defending on Happy Chaos, and it made him almost impossible to open up. And I feel like the best Robo Kys are going to have the best defense. They're going to understand every scenario in the game. He has a problem of hit confirming off of his weaker normals. Best example is 6P. Even though 6P has a pretty good counter hit confirm, and the fact that it can cover a decent bit of space in front of him, unlike most 6Ps, that great for above him sometimes. A normal hit, he gets nothing off of his 6P confirms, whereas most characters that are really strong this patch are able to do a ton off of meterless 6P. Like, there's straight up nothing he can do unless it's counter hit. If it's a counter hit 6P, he gets a ton in terms of segue, and that's about it. Even though he has many avenues to build up electricity, he can have issues building it in specific matchups. If the opponent has some type of good screen coverage or makes it difficult for Robo Ky again and get started, then building up electricity is going to be difficult, as you're going to be using a lot of electricity to either get in or to represent that your own screen space exists with the projectile, meaning you're not finding many avenues to build it up. I think some examples of this being a tricky thing is going to be stuff like the Venom matchup or the Axel matchup. They don't give you many times to just sit in neutral and build up with Matt, you know what I mean? And if you get in, you're already antsy on offense, so you kind of get a little bit less comfortable trying to build your resource mid-pressure, so it'll be awkward for sure. Here's the weird thing though, right? I mentioned this as a strength earlier, but this is a weird strength because a lot of people that come from Street Fair can understand why this can be an issue. Good normals are also slight weaknesses. Even though you have good Shoto normals with good reach, speed, and all that type of stuff, it comes with one caveat. They're only as good as the matchup allows them to be. If he's going up against someone that's kind of similar, for example Kai or maybe Eno in terms of spacing, his pokes are godlike. People are going to hate that matchup for how good his pokes are. But if he has to fight a matchup where the opponent has bigger pokes or does a different game plan like zoning, his pokes won't matter all that much. Someone explained this best with Ryu in Street Fighter 5, where his normals are really good, but in matchups that don't allow him to use his normals, that positive is gone. So even though his normals are pretty great across the board, there will be just some matchups that will not allow him to use this strength, and that is an issue. We're going to have to wait and see what matchups those are fully going to be, but I can imagine it's anything to do with full screen zoning and anybody that has bigger pokes. So for example, Potemkin will do pretty well into poking into Robo Ky. His meter usage can be a bit of an issue, because he has no form of invincible get up or any form of good neutral tool special super move to use. It's an issue. You've got Overclock, which might be one of the worst supers in the game, a little difficult to use, and in terms of like getting positive reward out of it, could blow you up. Literally. But we have roaming cancels, right? And that is the issue. Whenever Robo Ky does any form of roaming cancel offense, for example, segue into RC, if he doesn't have electricity built up, this leads to nothing. The best that Robo Ky can do is a cheeky low that's very quick, or heading into some type of jump in using the horsey. But with no type of electricity, doing the horsey will not happen. So that's an issue. Going for command grab will be super committal. Unless you did it with a BRC, the command grab will be beyond committal. And if you mess it up, just like you're punished. And we talked about having the worst defense in the game. So his offense when he's using meter, low electricity, is super committal and you get him blown up. And that's something you're really going to have to educate yourself on when you're playing Robo Ky. It's like, do I have good electricity to roaming cancel here? Do I have good electricity to go wild after a Roman cancel, and if you don't, his offense looks bad. Like, if you see a Robo Ky with 0 electricity doing a PRC after segue, he's only trying to do one thing, and that's build back electricity. Watch out for the command grab, jump it, and if he goes for a close slash, you know, just block out, go for a fuzzy jump is the best way to put it. Fuzzy jump will deal with so much. My thoughts on Robo Ky are a bit mixed. This is the part where we try to put him in tier list, how strong do I think he is, all that type of stuff. I think he's perfectly balanced, whereas gimmick is certainly a threat and you need to understand how he plays and all that silly stuff. One issue, he requires an insane amount of knowledge to make work. Again, on defense, you're going to have to actually block out and lab out the game. So you need to have good knowledge in defense, and you need to have good knowledge in your setup. And because he's probably the most set play character of this electricity stuff, you need to honestly figure out what's a good play and what's a bad play for electricity. So it's kind of hard to gauge the max potential of Robo Kys until we see one that understands all of these aspects of the character. But with the way I see things, I think he's perfectly mid. His poking game is without a doubt one of his defining traits, and his offense can be a blender of offense that makes Eno weep. But sadly, getting open up once and potentially losing the round without burst is certainly an issue, and that is a huge thing a lot of Robo Kys didn't get over. That defense is the biggest problem he has. So for now, current time Robo Ky, I think is perfectly mid. I think he's a good character with some okay flaws. He's in a good balancing state. I don't think he's going to be doing anything like ruining the meta or shaking stuff up, but if a Robo Ky pops off, I wouldn't be surprised. He's in a good spot, but with enough time, he could be shown to be broken, because again, he has a resource character with a ton of information and nuance you need to understand. You can end up being broken or absolutely garbage. That is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to like, hype, sub, and tell me what you think about Robo Ky. Do you think he's uber strong, or do you think he's fair and balanced? I would love to hear all about it. And I'll catch you guys in the next one, where I'll probably be covering Magneto from the hit game Marvel Token. Ooh. I'll catch you then. See ya.